Alright, with Jago being easily the most popular character and poster boy of the Killer Instinct franchise, would Jago have meshed well in the new generation of Street Fighter 3? As usual, I go through these journeys with the understanding that the character is an original from the opposite franchise. In this case, we're going on today as if Jago is a Capcom original character. Starting with his look, Jago already has an interesting design in Killer Instinct. If you were to describe out loud what his design was, it would sound pretty ridiculous on paper. Short hair, headband and mask, karate belt, boots, gloves, sword, ripped tight pants, and belly shirt. It's a pretty interesting choice, but it fits like a glove. I don't know why it works so well for Jago. I honestly think his 2013 redesign fits his Tibetan monk character far better, but I honestly prefer his original look to that one, probably just because of nostalgia. But because of this, I wanted a look that appeared to have both designs as an influence, while also staying in line with the visual style of Street Fighter 3 as a whole. For starters, I wanted a hairstyle that stood out from the other Street Fighter 3 looks and also his previous Killer Instinct games. I saw a ninja design on DeviantArt of a ridiculously high braided ponytail, and I thought for whatever reason that would be perfect for Jago. I don't know why it immediately popped out to me. I retained as much as I could about his mask, since that's just one of those things, along with his color scheme, that I personally feels like always needs to stay intact. I didn't want to just give him a regular belt look like he had in his classic design, so I looked at the 2013 one and decided to play with that a little bit. I also gave him small tears in his clothes, just kind of like a throwback to his original look as well. Nothing too crazy, just enough to make you understand that he's been through a lot and traveled a lot. I like the idea of wraps on the bottom of his legs and sandals as well. It's just a design thing that I wanted to add on to him. But I felt like something was missing. I gave him the sword, of course, but something about him still felt off and empty. I couldn't over-design him because Capcom is amazing at getting the most detail out of the simplest of designs. So what I came up with instead was a variation of prayer beads, just golden colored to match his aesthetic. Thinking in my mind more along the lines of a Obafemi than Akuma. The coloring of him, as I said, was roughly the same, blue, red, and gold. And here he stood, an original Street Fighter 3 Jago, at least in appearance.
Now, find a new rival.
Now, Jago in Killer Instinct was a Tibetan monk struggling with his inner darkness that led him to rely on the tiger spirit, roughly. I don't believe he needs to deviate that much here. With Gil obsessed with spiritual perfection and evolution, Jago in his inner struggles with the tiger spirit would be perfect for Street Fighter 3, specifically Third Strike. I don't know why specifically Third Strike, but I like it more. Street Fighter 3's biggest and in my opinion only problem, considering how evergreen that game is that there's little to no familiarity between Street Fighter 2 and the Alpha series in comparison to Street Fighter 3. The roster and characters are almost all brand new, radically different, and have almost no ties to the original rosters of the previous games. The exceptions being Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Akuma, and if you're a deep enough Capcom fan, Hugo. This isn't entirely a bad thing, but it can be jarring as fans of the original games. This is also a major reason why Alex, while a favorite of many and an awesome character, was never accepted and was kinda never gonna be accepted as the new face of Street Fighter. In this bizarre scenario that I've created with Jago here, the idea of him as a new face of Street Fighter would at least be a better option than Alex was. Jago would have a lot in common with Ryu from the get-go. He'd also be of interest of Gil as the main antagonist. And he has a little bit of a feel of different Street Fighter 2 characters. There's something about them that just seems present or around with Jago here. There's a small bit of Sagat. There's a small bit of Vega. There's even a small bit of Dawson to him. Lots of different aspects of classic characters make him somewhat new and yet familiar at the same time. I feel like new characters in a fighting game need 2 or 3 more characters with ties to the previous one somehow to make them more accepted. The very thing that Tekken 3 nailed down perfectly in '97. But the idea of Jago as a character struggling with his inner power makes him enough like Ryu without being an outright ripoff, more than he kinda already is in Killer Instinct, to still fit in this narrative of a game. And Jago having potential encounters with the likes of Alex as a test of strength, Makoto as a martial arts clash, Ibuki with skill and discipline, and Akuma because, well, he's Akuma, that would all be good too. Quick reminder at this point to make sure you like the video as well. Now for his moveset, which is one of those rare times where I feel like I don't have to think or do anything here. Killer Instinct by design, at least I believe, is the greatest and really one of the only perfect blends of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter in the 90s. And there are a lot of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat ripoffs. This is also kind of a reason why I kind of prefer Killer Instinct 2 over games in both of those series. Certain games. In terms of Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, while playing differently, still borrows its control scheme a lot. And for this reason, Jago's moveset would not need to change heavily. Also, considering that he's a Shado, it already makes him familiar if you play with any combination of Ryu, Ken, Sean, or Akuma at all. Jago's Fireball, the Endokuken, which I always thought was the Endoduken as a kid, I'm not really sure why, is still a quarter circle forward punch. The Tiger Fury is still a forward down forward punch. And his wind kick is still a quarter circle forward kick. These should sound familiar, shouldn't they? Now we need to just make sure that the properties are slightly different in Street Fighter 3 like they are in Killer Instinct so that he feels, again, familiar but unique. The Endokuken, I still want to say Endoduken, I'm sorry, could be a tiger-shaped projectile, similar to Orchid's projectile in the Killer Instinct games. This is his sister. The Tiger Fury uppercut could be a whole lot more punishable, but also launch the player high into the air for more follow-up potential. Nothing to the extent of Killer Instinct, of course, because that wouldn't work for Third Strike, but nothing unreasonable, it can still do combos. And the wind kick, let's be honest, that can just stay the same. It already doesn't function exactly like a Tatsu, and it would visually look different from the attacks of all the other Shados in hand-drawn form. I think it would look pretty cool for Jago. 2 changes that I thought about just for the sake of making Jago stand out more and giving me something else to do other than just say, hey, throw the same moveset in the game. Something in my mind like a dashing palm strike, just to make him not just another mere projectile character like a lot of other Shados in the game. And I don't know, that would give him a little bit more footsie play to play with in Street Fighter 3. And also, for his character's identity, I'd give him a meditation move of some sort to restore very small amounts of life, but also build his super meter. It wouldn't be too overpowered having a mechanic like this, considering that he'd have to be blatantly open in order to do this thing, so he's very vulnerable. And in all honesty, I'll let you entertain his super. In my mind, his super would just look like a miniature version of a lot of his ultra combos in Killer Instinct. Now for a stage. Since he would need an original one, as a lot of the characters do in Street Fighter 3, I believe Jago should have one that has elements of both his KI-1 and KI-2 stage designs. I love the idea of a bunch of tiger statues like the ones he had in Killer Instinct 1, but that drawbridge in KI-2, I don't know, something about that just left a strong imprint on my brain. The song and the stage, even more so than Chief Thunder's in KI-1. So for here, I used an AI prompt for the background just for time reasons, and while I can paint environments, I'm not painting at a Capcom level just yet for the time that it takes for me to make these videos and still get them out to you. This already took too long to begin with. But I got exactly what I was looking for out of it. The drawbridge is present in the background as I wanted it to be. The main part of the stage is an empty fighting plane surrounded by tiger statues, and they look like they've been carved into something rather than these giant golden statues. This looks like a great place to fight in game, as well as an interesting area for Jago to go and pray and meditate in. It also fits nicely with the rest of Street Fighter 3's aesthetic, which has some pretty wild and detailed backgrounds for the game. Being honest, Jago seems to fit perfect for Street Fighter. He already has strong influences and resemblances to the series the more I kept thinking about him. And speaking of thinking about him, the more and more I entertained the tiger spirit with Jago in a Street Fighter sense, the more and more I kept being reminded of Sagat. That level of mental connection, whether the two needed to be related in the games or not, was exactly what I was going for. Something to make you think back to the old Street Fighter games while still feeling new, which there's not a lot of that in Street Fighter 3. But does this all make sense for Jago's existence in Street Fighter? Does he seem more like an original Capcom character this way or not? Let me know. In any event, like, subscribe, and hit the hype button, and you all have a good one, and I'm out.
Get it on that. Select to make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on that. Select to make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on that.